Flipping out, I'm getting a bit... that I've done. I'm going to be documenting, oh man, welcome to my YouTube channel for believe me, what I'm about to share with you guys today is But I have given up, you know, going out regularly. I don't go out anymore. Every bit of free time I do is either spent on researching video ideas, editing videos, filming videos. So the social life, literally there is none. I don't have a social life, which is quite sad really. It's easy for some people to watch me and say, I want to do what you do, but believe me, it's the tip of the iceberg. I'm not saying that my story hasn't been amazing, because it has, but it comes with its fair share of kind of hate, mental health challenges, and not everything is plain sailing. Your mental health and well-being, I mean, everyone talks about it, it seems to be the in thing to talk about nowadays, but genuinely, we don't always portray how we're actually feeling on camera. No.
I remember speaking to you a bit over the last few weeks, and you've been in a negative headspace.
Being here to try and please you guys, because that's all I do. And it's also very difficult to try and keep a brave face on camera when you're not feeling great. And I haven't been for a while. When I first started filming YouTube videos, all I had was one camera. It was one GoPro. I remember it was a small GoPro Hero session that I bought actually through gift vouchers that I won from my real job. I didn't have any fancy camera equipment, nothing like that. It was literally just one camera and a way for me to express myself and express and share my story. And I'm sure as the videos go on, I'll get a lot more confident. The camera shyness should disappear, and you guys can help me with that. Kind of give me the likes below wherever it is and subscribe. It'd be really good, because the more of you who subscribe and like, the more motivation it'll give me. I remember filming my first few videos, and believe me, they were really bad, but the people that I shared them with in the Abarth community loved them. And I remember we used to go to meets together, and we used to talk about how quickly the channel had started growing, and we would have mini celebrations over 300-400 subscribers. I remember there's a few people from the modified Abarth crew who we would celebrate those little mini victories. And I remember very clearly at one of the meets in a modified Abarth meets, some of the guys were like, Stef, you know, you've just hit 500 subscribers. And it was like, yeah, this is amazing. But when I first started out, the videos were really bad. But even though the videos were really bad, I figured something out. I'd figured out that I'd discovered an audience that no one was really catering for on YouTube. And that was one of the key things, the fact that nobody was really making Abarth content at the time kind of unlocked this whole world of opportunity for me. If I could have fun making video content which would satisfy my own enjoyment and my own creativity, but equally provide value for other people, then I knew that I was doing a pretty good job. And a lot of people found value in the content I was creating. Some people didn't find value in the content I was creating. And actually, ironically, the prime group of people that didn't were my close friends at the time. When I first started filming YouTube videos, there was a lot of banter, if you like, around the fact that my videos were really bad. At the time, I didn't really feel very supported by them at all. And also the fact that I had an Abarth, there was just a lot of ridicule around that car, which in the long run it sorted itself out. But when I first started, and when you're first starting out on YouTube, you really ideally want as much support as you can get. The view from some people was that my content wasn't good, and that there was a kind of constant piss take around, you know, what I was filming, where I was wasting all this time filming stuff, and actually it was quite hurtful. It really did hurt. And when you're trying to first get established in anything new, you need to have the support around you from whoever it is. Even if the stuff isn't great, the last thing you really want to be doing or feeling as a creator is that your content is crap. After 6 months of running the YouTube channel, I'd grown a bit of an audience. I'd built up to about 1,000 subscribers. I was really happy. There was people watching, and I got a few messages from people saying that they had bought Abarths off the back of my videos, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And so I then took it upon me and thought, well, if people are buying my cars, then maybe that's value to Abarth themselves as a manufacturer, and maybe I'll be able to go and get some content or some cars off them to film content with. So I was quite delusional, if I'm being honest with you, because I emailed Abarth UK and kind of said to them, guys, you know, I've got people who are buying cars off my YouTube channel. I've got 1,000 subs, it's growing, etc, etc. I'd love to review and test some of your cars. And as you'd expect, I was getting nothing back. Absolutely nothing back. I didn't stop there though. I kept hounding them, and I said to myself that I will not stop until they give me a car, or I have the opportunity to at least have a face-to-face meet with them, because I want the chance to let people know who I am, what I'm capable of, and just take it from there and see how it could all evolve. After constant hounding, it was clear that my persistence paid off slightly, because just before Abarth Day in 2017, I'd grown my channel to around 3,000 subscribers, and Abarth said to me, look, we've got an Abarth Day, we'd love for you to come. I was going to go anyway, but we've got the 124 rally car coming over, 300 horsepower 124 rally car, and it's an opportunity for us to meet you face to face and a chance for you to create some content with something that's already there. So I immediately said, absolutely, I want to try and do the best I can, and I'm more than happy to film content on that car. Now, when I had the chance to meet with Abarth UK press for the first time, it was quite a reality check actually, and it was a good reality check, because in my first few videos when I first started, I wasn't ever thinking that I would be a brandable person. I wouldn't ever think that I would be someone that someone aspires to or looks up to. And in my early videos, I used to swear quite a bit in the videos. And after having a chat with Abarth, they kind of turned around and said, look, if you really want to take this seriously, you can't swear in your videos. One, because as a press team, they share the videos across Twitter, they share it with their dealerships. And for me to go and swear in videos was a big red flag, which was something that I pretty much addressed very, very early on in my YouTube career. But the opportunity came to go into this 124 rally car, and I'll be honest, I was petrified. I wasn't petrified of the car, I was excited to go out in the car, but what I was petrified about was letting Abarth down in my first ever real bit of content for the brand. In the early days of YouTube, I really hustled hard. I really hustled hard. Now, at the time, and even now to present, I still have a full-time job Monday to Friday. But I was up every day filming content, editing content, religiously for weekends. I really remember one event in particular where I got up at about 5 in the morning and I drove all the way into central London to catch the start of the Modball Rally. And I remember that because I was the first one there was nobody else there, and I wanted to make sure that I had a prime spot, if you like, to catch all the cars coming in. I wasn't anything special then, I'm still not anything special now, but I didn't have any access to press areas, I didn't have any access to the Gucci media areas that some people had, so I kind of just had to blend and create content with what I had in front of me. And I remember, because I saw Tanya Rawls there in her 260 horsepower Abarth, because she was doing the Modball Rally in there, and it was on that day that I was sitting there just doing my own thing filming, that someone randomly in the crowd just came up to me and said, oh, you know, are you that Stef AB guy? And I remember I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, like this person recognized me from the internet. How cool is this? And it just drove me to work even harder. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was a real lift in confidence, the fact that people have seen my videos and like, yeah, we really like it. A few weeks later, I got an invite which blew my mind. It was one of those invites that I didn't think I would ever get. and it was Abarth. Abarth had just launched the Abarth 124 Spider, and they were running it up the Goodwood Festival of Speed hill climb. Now, I'd never been to Goodwood before, and the fact that Abarth invited me and the missus down, we had the whole hospitality package. It was incredible. We had our own box overlooking the hill run. It was amazing. And the fact that I, myself, was able to drive the car up the hill run. I mean, that's a legendary hill run, and I got a chance to do it. Here we are, start line of the Goodwood hill climb, in an Abarth 124 Spider. It should be good. For all those months leading up to that point, I was investing so much time, so much effort, and obviously the missus was putting up with all of my drama. It was just really nice for her to be able to come and enjoy that with me. Shaking, look. Off the back of creating videos at Goodwood, I remember I had about 5,000 subscribers, and that's when I got my first press car, and it was the Abarth 124 Spider. Now, I remember when I made these videos, in fact, I was adamant I wanted to make a really good video. This video cost me and the missus quite a bit of money because we went to Wales overnight, and we spent quite a bit of money on the hotel. I'd bought a drone just for that video. I almost lost the drone. Me and the missus had pretty big arguments that day of film because of my issues with how perfect something had to be. I was quite stressed at the time. I wanted to make this perfect video for Abarth that I was just getting really, really frustrated, and I was just letting my anger out on her, and it was completely wrong.
Loads of cameras involved, probably some sheep involved. And this part's probably the hardest part of this whole scene, and it's the part that I've been stressing out about the most. So
all she was doing the best that she could to help me, and there's me throwing it back in her face. So that whole video was actually a really bad experience, although when you look at the video back, you would never know that. You'll just watch it and go, that was amazing, how did you get to do that? Although the video itself was a bit superhero / action trailer film, if I'm honest, looking back at it now. And I think that was my early style. It was all about kind of creating anticipation and trying to make something dramatic. And I think that video was almost a little bit too dramatic, but at the time when I made it, it was my best bit of content, and I was really proud of it. In September 2017, I joined a group of people known as The Collective. Now, The Collective was effectively a group of people, a group of YouTubers who pulled together all of their audiences, and as a result of that, you'd have a mass audience with loads of views, etc. And we would then approach brands to get cars to review. We were quite small, some of us, but there was a cool pool of people in there who were quite large. I met Petrolped from this collective group, and I remember at the time Petrolped, I think Pete had about 10,000 subs, I had 5,000 subs. Jamie FYD was there, Boosted at the time, Sean Barrett now, Gas Kings was there, Alex Peak Performance Reviews, and as a group we'd kind of got this invite to a creator day where I had the chance to drive a Giulia, a chance to drive a BMW, an i8, and it was really cool. It was amazing, and I can tell you that weekend I'd never worked so hard in my life. To film 4 videos back to back straight was just, it was so draining, but I knew that I just had to keep going, and I did. It was thanks to The Collective that I managed to get an invite to a BMW track day. And it was that BMW track day where some would say that luck favours, I mean, luck has something to do with everything that's happened to me. A very small part, because I think the bulk of everything that I've done has been through hard work and graft. But I remember when I was there, we were getting this briefing, and the track day was to go out and drive a BMW M2, an M140, and a M4 GTS car. It was really, really cool. The time we had with each of these cars was hardly any, because it's a kind of event for the public that BMW put all of us on. So to film videos there was near impossible to do. At the time, one of the BMW press ladies, or press team, happened to sit next to me at the press briefing, at the briefing for the event. And I could see on her phone that she was scrolling through all of the BMW UK Instagram tagged posts and stories. And that was kind of that point where I thought, if I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to do it now. So I grabbed her phone and I literally typed in Stef ABtv on her Instagram and I clicked follow. Quite bold, I guess, when you don't even know the person. That day I filmed 3 videos and I turned them around pretty quickly and I released them. And BMW saw those videos and they were quite impressed. They were like, I don't know how you managed to film those to start with and how you managed to turn those around so quickly. But I did, and I said, look, imagine what I could do if I had more time, or if you gave me a bit more of an opportunity. A few weeks later, I had visited Spain with my wife, now my girlfriend at the time. We'd gone over there to see my dad. My dad's retired, he lives out in Spain, in Santiago de Compostela. Really, really nice part of Spain. And I rarely take annual leave because I'd spend most of it filming. I'd taken 2 weeks off my entire holiday period just to film videos, so we didn't have much annual leave. But we took a few days to go out to Spain to see my dad. And when we were out there, I was sitting there having a nice coffee in the coffee shop in kind of town square, Santiago. And I received this email, and it was an email where it was enough to spit your coffee out. And it was from BMW, and they'd invited me to go down to the Le Mans 24-hour race.
The Le Mans 24 Hours for 2018 is about to get underway.
Now, I have no idea why I was invited to that trip, but I am forever grateful. It was one of the best opportunities I'd ever gotten, and the people on the list, I was completely starstruck. I mean, on that list at the time was Tim, Shmee150, the guys from Carfection, Rory Reid, who was at Top Gear at the time, and Alex Penfold, who was just an incredible photographer. So there's little me going out to do this mental trip with BMW. And then to top it all off, they said, we're going to deliver you a BMW i8 to drive down in. So I was just blown away. I thought, this can't get any better.
Le Mans so far has been absolutely incredible, as I'm sure you guys would have seen from the videos up until this point.
It was amazing. It was also the first time I met Rory. Rory and I are good friends now, and we've filmed quite a few bits together on camera on multiple press trips, and I've done some stuff with him on Auto Trader as well, which is kind of where he's at now.
This version of the
Say it, man! Do you know what? It's fun.
But it was an amazing experience. Got to drive cars like the M3 CSL, the BMW 1M, which actually I drove from Le Mans back home.
taking the 1M home.
It was such an incredible experience, and I created some amazing content from that trip.
So yeah, I definitely feel like I've grown and developed a little bit on this trip. I've learned quite a lot of stuff, and it's just nice being around, you know, such successful YouTubers, Instagrams, TV presenters. It's amazing. I mean,
around that same time, it was 2018, Abarth Day 2018 was around the corner, and I'd had the opportunity to display my Abarth in front of everyone, which a year ago I was just parked in amongst the crowds with everybody else, and I don't look at this as like I'm an elitist or anything. It was just an amazing opportunity to showcase my pride and joy, which over the last year I'd spent quite a bit of money on modifying. I'd put a massive turbo on the car, went down a route that no one had really ever done before. It was almost like a bit of a TD04 / Garrett turbo hybrid, and it was the first car to put that turbo on, and it made 250 horsepower by around 285 foot-pound of torque, I believe it was at the time. And it was amazing. It sounded incredible. We had a power motive exhaust on there, and I did Lamborghini style brakes because no one had done that, and I thought it'd be cool at the time. Having my car displayed at Abarth Day also allowed me to do my first meet and greet. Now, doing a meet and greet can be very anxious, can be very quite nerve-wracking, because the last thing that you want is to host a meet and greet, promote it, and then no one actually turns up. Thankfully, people did turn up, and it was incredible. So many people came, so many people asked, you know, to talk about my car, just to see how I was. I still remember it now. It was an incredible feeling.
well, That's something you don't see all the time, really, is it?
And Abarth Day was even better because I got to go there a day before and film the Abarth 695 Biposto with the dog ring box. This is like an 8,500 optional extra gearbox, if you like, and it's a car I'd always wanted to drive for such a long time. But the whole of that 2 days, I was quite nervous because whilst you always put a brave face in front of the camera, you also have to constantly think of what you're going to film, how you're going to film it. You've got to try and meet lots of people because you want to, but equally you need to create content. It was quite difficult to try and keep that balance, and I still struggle with that now. One thing I can also say about the Abarth community is that as my journey kind of kept increasing and as my YouTube channel grew and the viewership grew, we were bringing more and more people into the Abarth space, which as a result meant more and more people were joining clubs like Abarth Owners Club, Modified Abarth, and then you had all these other branching clubs which all in the long run all came together, even though there was quite a few bits of club politics here and there. But it was amazing, the opportunities and the people we met, the events we held. It was just so cool, and the fact that I was able to share those events with the world was just on another level. I really loved it. It was all going so perfect. And then I sold my Abarth. It was a decision I didn't take lightly. I had the car for 2.5 years. It's probably the longest I've ever owned a car. And at the time it was quite sentimental because I built the whole of my YouTube channel up with it. And I was worried what the impact would be as a result. I knew I wanted to continue to make Abarth content. I knew I wanted to be that point of, I wanted to be the place on YouTube where everyone would come to see the best Abarth content, and selling my car, was that the right thing to do at the time? I had equally started filming stuff with other brands, which meant I was starting to diversify my YouTube channel. It wasn't just Mr. Abarth or Stef ABtv, which ironically was Stef Abarth to start with on my Instagram page. But I always thought I don't need my Abarth to be able to be a part of the community. You know, I've established myself in that community, and I'm sure that I can keep working with Abarth UK, which is true to an extent. However, that started to change later on down the line. I replaced the Abarth 595 comp with the A45 AMG, an absolute weapon of a car and a car that I absolutely loved.
Oh man. So what do you think?
With no Abarth in my possession and an A45, I wanted to keep making that content. So I managed to get, over time, 6 of probably the most bonkers Abarths there are currently out there. And I remember them very well. One of them was Jonathan's 330 horsepower Screamer piped Abarth. Another one was Grant's car. That car was just a project that's been ongoing for years and years, and the fact that Grant managed to get it all back together, have it running for a period, and now he's sold it and breaking the car up. He's moved on to a Honda Civic Type R. I managed to get Bilal's car on the channel, which is a kind of Biposto replica, 300 odd horsepower car. I managed to get Bonetto's Alfa Romeo 4C engined 4-wheel drive Abarth on the channel. And I also managed to get the Abarth 500 GTO, which is Ben's car, and that car's limiter is at 8,000 RPM. It was an incredible opportunity to drive, and those videos all broke the internet. So at the time I was thinking, look, I've got this under control. I can continue to deliver the best content there is for Abarth while still not owning a car.
That feels fast, that feels wicked. It feels a bit alien to me to hold it past 7.
It is alien for everyone.
Might be a few more joining us, but for now, here we go. Enjoy.
Behind the scenes, I'd also been in massive contact with the guys from Abarth Club Marbella. and then we'd made plans for me to go out to Spain, to Marbella, and stay with Abarth Club Marbella, the president Paul, and to do some days out there and have some time with him and his Biposto and meet the club and create content on the club. It was kind of a thing that I'd ingrained in my mind. I wanted to start filming Abarth from across Europe or across the world even, and we went to Spain. I took the opportunity to meet some of the most incredible people and drive some of the most incredible roads, and it was just, I think that point for me was where kind of Stef ABtv in the whole Abarth space had peaked.
Genuinely, seeing one of these, the Romeo Ferraris Cinquorne, but also having the opportunity to go out in the Biposto, it's like literally like the two ultimate Abarth range, just sitting right next to each other. I mean, what? Look, let me just frame this for you.
I managed to film the Romeo Ferraris 280 horsepower black and orange 595 comp.
You know.
That was out in Marbella, and that video again broke the internet, close to 400,000 views on that, and the channel had seriously grown as a result of all of that lead up and build up in content. At the point I was feeling great. I was like, I am literally the Abarth King right now. I don't even need an Abarth to continue to make this amazing content. And it was true, I didn't. But then things started to change a little bit. When I got back home, I received my first press invite, and it was going to be the first of many press invites. It was from BMW to go from here all the way to Spain, Valencia, for the launch of the i8 Roadster. So I'm going to film the entire thing so that you guys can see what it's like to be on press launches, because it's something that's very new to me. And I remember that was an incredible opportunity. We got there, we were wined and dined by BMW. The hotel was beautiful, it was right on the seafront. The restaurant was amazing, the food was amazing. We went to a beach club, we had quite a few drinks, and then very quickly realized that I had to film a video the following morning, and I was feeling a little bit worse for wear.
So the first thing we're going to do is put the sunnies on.
Oh. That was a big wake-up call for me to go, hang on, press releases, you do have to work, and you do need to really put a lot of effort in, because ultimately a brand are paying a significant amount of money to get me out to those, and as a result I need to be able to deliver for them with one, great content, and two, make sure that that content gets views. So I went out there, it was when Spain were having a heat wave, it was about 40 degrees worth of heat, and I remember that I was almost melting to the tarmac. One, I was dehydrated as hell because of the night before, and two, I was on my own trying to film all these drive-bys and drone shots of this car. I was out there for about 6 hours to film a 2-minute clip on a video, and then it hit me. I was like, this is really, really tough, and people are never going to appreciate the amount of effort that goes into making these videos. When I came back, I'd started to build a really good relationship with BMW. I continued to work with Abarth. I did work with Alfa Romeo as well, and we did things like the Stelvio Quadrifoglio launch out in Scotland, which is amazing. We had lots of whiskey. We drove incredible roads, not together, mind you, not drinking and driving. The whiskey was the latter part of the evening. And also Alfa invited me to Italy for the new Nero edition cars. And I remember I met loads of great people there, got to see the museum, and again, just kind of filming my journey. And this press trip thing had started to become more regular, and I was using more and more annual leave of the little I had left to be doing these trips. So it started to take its toll on the amount of work I was taking on while still trying to sustain a full-time job. The other thing that started to happen as a result of these press trips was I'd started to feel, I was being classified as like a journalist, or that my content was, review style content. When I first started this, like I said at the start of this documentary, I was in doing it all for fun. I was enjoying the content I was making, and now I found myself in a space where the content I was making was much more professional, much more kind of informative, review style, and much more brand driven.
The Porsche 911 is an iconic car. It's Porsche's icon, it's been around for some time. 1965, the Porsche 911 was first conceived.
It very quickly changed from what I felt was fun hobby to now a second job. Now, whilst this was all beneficial because it allowed me to keep growing the channel, and it was something that I really wanted to do, was to diversify, but what I also started to realise that I'd started to disconnect myself slightly from the Abarth community. That community that I'd started out in, I was slowly withdrawing myself out of it because I just didn't have the time. Everything that I was doing was just to keep growing the channel. Every video was just whatever's best for Stef ABtv as a channel, not whether or not I'm enjoying making it or not. And over time, I just started to feel like I was losing touch with what was going on within the Abarth world.
But I do miss my Abarth. I do miss it.
By mid-2019, I was probably running on fumes. I pretty much worked flat out for the best part of 2 and a bit years. And everything I was doing was either press related or new car. I was getting press car delivered left, right and centre, out of choice, you know, because all I had in my mind was I wanted to keep growing this channel. I knew I needed some form of a break, and then Goodwood happened. Goodwood 2019 was the moment that my channel blew up to an extent. There was some pretty big launches and I got some pretty big opportunities from that festival. One of which was the launch of the new A45S.
Behind me you can see, well, a whole lot of fireworks, but behind me you can see the brand new A45S just unveiled here at Goodwood Festival of Speed.
I remember I filmed that video, and I did 3 days. I did 3 out of the 4 days at Goodwood. And day 1 was the A45S, and I didn't have a hotel to stay in. So I was driving 2 hours each way with the missus, and on the way home, the missus would drive and I would sit in the car editing the video to go live that evening. And I did the A45S video. That video did about 100,000 views in a couple of days. The following day, I filmed the BMW M8 competition up the Goodwood Hill Run. That video now is close to 400,000 views. It blew up pretty much overnight, that video. It went nuts. I also filmed something with Ferrari. I filmed the 812 super fast going up the hill run, so I was a passenger in that. That was incredible. It was the first thing I'd ever done with Ferrari. It was a massive opportunity.
800 horsepower, 812 super fast.
And also I drove the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio up the Goodwood Festival of Speed Hill Run. It was a mental event. And I remember I didn't stop. I was completely flat out. I was completely exhausted. But you know, the adrenaline was running, and I just kept going and going and going. Now, the last day that I was at Goodwood, I was filming, and I had the opportunity to interview Antonio Giovanazzi.
So you scored your first points for Alfa Romeo. How did that feel?
Really great, finally. I lost a little bit of my hair, but it is.
They'd flown him in from Italy for Festival of Speed, and he was going to do a run up the hill run, and I had the chance to interview him in front of 1.6 million people, which was the Alfa Romeo official Instagram page. So I filmed the video and it went live on their stories. It was nerve-wracking as hell, and I had one take to get it right. Thankfully I got it right, but I could tell you I was anxious as hell because I'd never done anything like that before, and I was being asked to do all these really cool things, but equally I had not done them before. So my stress levels were through the roof. I felt quite anxious doing that. When it was all done, it felt great, but that build-up and that stress build-up when you know you need to do something that you're anxious about is really challenging. As a result of Goodwood, as a result of that month, Stef ABtv as a channel had its best month. We did close to 1 million views in July. It was the biggest month I'd ever had on YouTube, but it all came at a cost. Leading into Goodwood, I was exhausted. I was absolutely knackered. I was anxious. The stress levels were getting too much, and it got to a point where after Goodwood, I was like, I need to figure out a way to start chilling out a little bit.
So I'm officially exhausted and dead. I am battered. I'm back in the 4C. It's time to go home. I'm just leaving Goodwood Circuit. And
also because I was doing so much other stuff, that disconnect from the Abarth community, that fun factor of when I used to make videos, when I used to enjoy it, and now kind of having it as a job, was just wearing down on me more and more. And I know that some people will look at me and go, well, it's not really a job. And it is to an extent. It's not a full-time job, but the effort that goes in behind the scenes of a 10-minute video may as well be a job, and the pay is probably below minimum wage. So you really do need to have passion for it, and you really need to have the right mentality to deal with the highs and the lows. As the months went on, I kept filming and filming and filming. Beyond the point of filming something because I wanted to, it was just because I felt I had to. I was churning. I got to that point of complete meltdown, if you like, with regards to having to keep doing what you need to do to keep the channel running and to keep feeding the algorithms. I completely stopped enjoying it by then. The best way to describe it was, if you think like the old game Mario, where you're running across the screen, jumping over the little blocks, and that screen is catching you, and if the screen touches you, it says game over and that's it. That's how I was feeling, and every video that I was making was literally just to churn out and just to keep making videos and to try and keep growing this. Then Abarth 2019 came, and it was a golden opportunity to reconnect with all of the people who had supported me in the past, to film some really cool new car Abarth content, because the 695 70th anniversary was being launched then, and it was also Abarth Day in Milan. All the Abarth days were pulled into one, and it was an amazing day and a chance for me to meet everyone again. But I'll be honest, I was actually really anxious and I was really nervous because I'd been quite disconnected from the community. I think over time, me not filming stuff, and when I did post the old Abarth video here and there, I would get a bit of hate from people. People say you sold out. There were comments I saw in other YouTubers' videos saying, you know, Stef ABtv, he's sold out, you know, he doesn't care about his Abarths anymore. He's left us, he used us. And obviously that's not everyone, because the bulk of people I still get along really well with, but it did create kind of self-anxiety for me, because I was worried what would happen. And also worried how the reaction would be, you know, with me being there. But I filmed the 695 anniversary, I released that, the video went nuts, it did over 100,000 views, which is amazing. And then I also filmed Abarth Day itself. Now, when we walked into the gates, remember I was with Petrolped and FCA, and FCA Abarth, Justin from Abarth said to me, "Are you ready for what's about to happen?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I was genuinely, I was playing it down because I was nervous of what could happen. I thought that there'd be some people who may recognize me. I really hoped that people would recognize me because of all of the work that I put in to my channel to try and provide value to people buying Abarths. I really hoped that people would. And actually, within 10 minutes of walking into that event, it was unbelievable.
So, as we're walking through Abarth Day,
yeah.
we are, this man here is having a bit of a challenge walking through here. How many selfies have you had taken with you so far today?
I think it's about 30 people have asked me for photos, and then loads of people have kind of stopped to say hi, which is amazing, by the way. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's just so nice to meet people that watch your content.
I know.
It's amazing.
I know.
It was just such a surreal experience, and actually by the end of that day, not only was it completely draining, and I'd been running on adrenaline, because bear in mind, the last few months I'd just been mentally drained and knackered, but the adrenaline from that day just kept me going. And at the end of it, when I took a moment just to step out of the mayhem, stand on a balcony and reflect, it was actually quite emotional about just how many people watched all of my content and wanted to come and say hi. It was unbelievable. If I'm honest, it's been a little bit overwhelming for me, like really, because I didn't realize how many of you guys watch my content, and like just to meet you guys, it means the world to me, and thank you so much if you guys came to say hello today. Flipping out, I'm getting a bit whew. After hitting such a high, I guess, with Abarth Day and everything that it brought, at the time it helped me kind of remove a lot of that cloudiness I had in my mind leading up to then, that exhaustion, but it just kept kicking in. And when I got back home, I think that's where things started to get, let's say, a little bit dark, and I started to really affect my mind and how I started to feel about YouTube. I kept churning and kept filming videos, but I was starting to see my channel growth declining. I was seeing the views started to drop. They peaked in July and they never picked up since then. And actually I started to feel quite upset, quite depressed with the fact that I had no time to myself anymore. I'd gone from, when I started this journey, loving to film videos, to at this point, really, after coming back from Abarth Day, actually hating it. I struggle to pick up a camera. I try and find any excuse to not pick up a camera. I would just be doing it because I had to feed the algorithms. And I was just seeing channels around me, like close friends of mine who are YouTube friends, whose channels are just blowing up, and mine was just going the other way. It was growing, but it wasn't growing fast enough for the effort that I was putting in. And that really started to affect me. It really did, because I started to get, I think I got quite depressed. The fact that I would put the effort into a video, it wouldn't get the views, YouTube just wouldn't promote my own content. And you, as a creator, unfortunately, you shouldn't look at other people, because all it will do is make you feel worse about yourself. What that created was a sense of dissatisfaction with what I was doing. And it started to create a bit of kind of mental health depression. I would sit at home, all I would do is think of ideas of how to get more views, how I would structure my channel, how I would get out of this hole that I was digging myself into, while still trying to put a brave face in front of the camera for everyone who would watch my videos. And I think that then became even harder, because not only are you mentally drained, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're stressed. I was getting breakouts on my face, I still get them now, from stress, because of the challenges of a real job and trying to keep this job running, but also trying to put a brave face on for everybody watching, when the reality is that I'm actually quite down and feeling quite upset with everything that's going on. It was really difficult, and it's still difficult now. I think what makes it even harder and more difficult to really stomach this is, as a viewer of my channel, the audience won't necessarily see the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. They'll just see the end product. And you know, my wife, bless her, she spent God knows how many months just dealing with me and my depressed mood and all my stress, and that takes its toll. You know, there should be no reason why I should be feeling like that. It's all self-inflicted. I'm doing that all myself, and it wasn't nice for her to be feeling the same way. Then look at early 2020. The world has just gone into meltdown. Everything that we've taken for granted, everything that we felt was important, is thrown up into the air. With the stuff that's going on right now, with financial economies falling apart, businesses falling apart, people losing life because of something that's escalated so quickly, puts so much into perspective. And you know, my own anxiety and depression for YouTube has almost taken a back step, because now you start to focus on actually what's going to happen in the real world. My own real job has taken a financial implication as a result of what's going on, and you actually are forced to think differently. And I think it's probably the first time in maybe a few years where I've had the chance to think about doing something different on my YouTube channel, and not just have to churn. In fact, if anything, it's quite ironic that the fact that I'm forced to stay at home has actually allowed me to have a bit of a chill.
How beautiful is that? I mean, me and the missus, we also, you know, we've got a few things that we want to do come the end of the year. I mean, obviously we need to see how this all pans out, but we really want to get a little doggy, a little puppy. I wanted one for so long, but the time has just never been right. But we are going to do that, and I am going to just start enjoying life a little bit more for what it actually is worth, rather than just solely being here to try and please you guys.
One final thought for, I guess, the people who are going to watch this, is that remember that every creator only chooses to show the side of their life they want to show. For me to go into this level of detail is showing some vulnerabilities, it's showing my honesty to you and some transparency around what really goes on, but also that we only choose to show you the good stuff. So don't always look at a person's YouTube channel and think that everything is okay.